Welcome. My name is Lior Arbel. I'm responsible for the data security products in WebSense, working with DLP for 8 years now. And today I wanted to discuss with you about the aspects of DLP, what should DLP product do for you, and how to approach a DLP project. I wanted to start with the definition of DLP. Many consider DLP to be data loss prevention. I actually prefer it as a data leakage. Data loss will be also if your hard drive is wiped, if your data center is down, so you can lose data. This is not something that a DLP product, or at least a data leakage product, will cover. And I took this definition from Rich Mogul, a former analyst of Gartner, which basically says that a DLP product is a product that should be able to help you in identify data. It's very important to know and the system to be able to identify the data that you want to protect. To monitor with DLP, it's very important first to get visibility of what information your employees are distributing, because DLP can affect the business if it's configured wrongly, and you don't want to block legitimate traffic. What you will see later, we also, with DLP, we recognize a lot of bad business processes. So again, this is something that you can identify, remediate, and later on build either a new process or update your security policies. Of course, we want it to protect, because otherwise it will be just data leakage monitor. So at some stage, and I will show you also how in the product you can actually start rather early to protect the data. And it should cover 3 areas of data transactions. So data in motion, this is usually where information go over the internet, whether by email or web traffic or FTP, etc. Data at rest is where the information sits on your storages, like file servers, databases, Exchange servers, document management system, etc., etc. And of course, data in use. It's where your employees are dealing with the data on a daily basis on their laptop, desktops, and also mobile devices. Okay? And the last thing, of course, the system should be able to have deep content analysis capabilities. So it's not enough anymore to look just on this. And this is usually what the common content filtering system do. They usually look on just key phrases, dictionaries, maybe some patterns. How many of you in the IT, for many years with anti-spam, you wanted to send some application like executable or something, and the spam engine blocked you, so you changed the extension from exe or zip file to txt and wrote in the email instructions saying change it back to exe, and that's it. So again, today with a deep content analysis, you should be able, or the system should be able, to allow you to protect all kinds of data that you have in your organization. This is the least accurate, this is the most accurate. So again, a DLP product should be able to, yes, allow you to configure keywords or dictionaries with weighted dictionaries, again, to increase accuracy. It should allow you to look only in specific spaces in places in the document or in the email. For example, looking for the word confidential in a body of the email probably will create a lot of false positive, because you might have a disclaimer saying this mail may contain confidential information. However, if the word confidential appears in the document itself, in the attachment, or in the subject, this is something else that you want to consider. File type filter, the ability to recognize file types per their signature. So even if someone changed the extension, you should be able still to detect that. For example, if Excel file was changed to PDF, then you should be able to say, this is still Excel file. So we support more than 350 file types by their signature. Patterns and script, again, the ability to detect what we call generic data. So for example, social security number for Iceland, credit cards, IBAN, bank accounts, healthcare data, etc., etc. This should be already in the product. And later on, which in few slides, we will talk about implementing DLP, this is very important for you. Machine learning, this is something new that we added into the product in order to make your life more easier. So there are the generic scripts that, for example, I can detect CVs, I can detect financial reports, I can detect merger and acquisition documents, etc., etc. However, it will be generic. So any company that will enable that and work with source code or work with merger and acquisition, it will be detected. But some customer came to us and said, well, we want to protect our own legal documents, our own mergers and acquisition documents. So this is why we created the machine learning. The machine learning is basically you direct it to a folder and tell the system this is legal documents, this is merger and acquisition document, this is financial documents, marketing documents, etc. The system then go and examine the files and basically extract what we call common keywords of those types. Of course, we have a way to eliminate the common keywords in the language in order not to create a lot of false positives. So the system actually can identify your documents without creating an overhead. The next step is actually fingerprint. So fingerprint is a more accurate way to say, this is my, let's say, financial report for this quarter. And I want to know if anyone is leaking it out. With the machine learning, it will be any financial report for your company. With the fingerprint, it could be just this financial report for this quarter or this document around a specific project, etc., etc. So the fingerprint process actually extract the text from the document and create what we call hashes, which become fingerprint. We do the same for record management, which is basically the database fingerprint, which can protect your own customer data. So again, with the patterns or scripts, we will protect any social security number or any credit cards, whether it's your customers or anyone else in Iceland, for example. With the record management, with the fingerprint of the database, we can actually say to the system, protect only this company customer social security numbers. Now, when talking about DLP, this is very important. So many customers, when looking on DLP, basically go through a process of an RFI or RFP that's come and say, can you do this, can you do that, etc., etc. I can tell you this. On paper, many DLP products looks the same. Okay, they will tell you, yes, we can do it. However, the most important thing is how the product can support you and what is the methodology of the company when you start with the project. So for many customers, DLP actually looks like this. A big black box that you don't know how you start and you don't know how to finish. And when you go into that project, and usually most of our competitors will talk with you about discovery and classification. And I hear a lot about the customers saying, we need to prepare the business for a DLP. We need to classify our data. Problem is that if you invest money in a project and you invest resources, etc., going to a project like that, after 6 months, after 12 months, you will still be, let's say, not in the same position, but you will not progress enough to bring ROI to the management. When they will come to you and say, well, what have we done around DLP to reduce the risk? You will say, well, we are still working on it. So our approach is actually different. We are saying, yes, this might be a big box. However, if you start small and focus on specific areas, this will bring you quick wins, and quick wins create appetite and will allow you to get more resources or more funding for a larger project. So in this case, I took a box have 3 dimensions, and you can start with this. So looking on specific data, so for example, just social security number, or just your source code, or just your credit card if you need to comply with PCI. On specific channels, email, web, again, the network is easier to deploy. And then if you are in multiple countries, you can say, okay, I will start just with Iceland. Or I will start just, for example, if we are looking on marketing documents, or I will start only with the marketing department. And how you go with that? So basically, you need to understand the risk. And we calculate risk by the impact. So what happens if certain data goes out and is published in the news? What will be an impact to your company? Look, for example, people talked here about RSA and Sony. The impact was huge. Okay? And what will be the likelihood of something like that to happen? So someone taking your customer data and sending that over email, the likelihood is very high. Okay? So the way that you approach to the project is understanding, again, what is your risk and what are your chances to reduce that risk. I'm not saying eliminating the risk, because it will always exist. And for impact, the only way to deal with the impact is to have insurance. Okay, so the only thing that you can do is reduce the likelihood of a data breach. And how do you do it? So basically, you need first to come and say, why do I need a DLP project? What are the main reasons or the main area of business that I want to protect for the DLP project? Is it compliance? Is it your intellectual property? So if you have, for example, an advancement over your competitions, okay, then you go and list the data assets. So for example, if I want to deal with PCI, I basically want to protect credit cards or credit card tracks. If I want to protect, to deal with the Privacy Act, I want to protect social security numbers, healthcare data, date of birth, addresses, etc. Okay? Then you can actually, if we're talking about actually more your intellectual property, so again, if it's marketing, then you can go to the marketing department and say, well, what kind of projects you are working on now? What will be the impact of those projects if they are going out? And again, then you basically create a table like that. It can take a day or two. Again, if you start small, if I need now to look on all my data assets, yes, this will take probably a couple of months, okay, or maybe more, depends on your organization. But if you remember the small box, this can take a day or two, just to understand what type of information are relevant and then define what will be the impact. And again, this is talking about, okay, so if, for example, I see 10 credit cards going out, what will be the impact for my company? 10 credit cards, probably low, therefore, I want to just audit. 100 credit cards might be a bit higher, but you know what? It can still affect the business, so I want to involve the employee, actually to make sure that the employee are not making mistakes. 10,000 credit cards, probably too much, and therefore I want to block it. So if you are doing this, you actually allow yourself to get visibility and to start reducing your risk. And actually, we are helping you with that. So the system comes with more than 1,200 predefined templates. So when you analyze the data assets that you want to protect, it might be that this is already in the product. And again, with the machine learning, you can add more. With the fingerprint, you can add more. So if we're looking again on PCI, Privacy Act, etc., it's already in the product. You choose your region, you choose your industry, and then the system will suggest you which policies are relevant to you. Source code, it's already in the products. Password protected file types, already in the product. Now, let's talk about again what a DLP also should do for you. So for many cases, also when I'm talking about employees, and might be also hackers, they know that in most cases, companies will not monitor low threshold of private data. Why? Because it creates an impact. If I monitor now every social security number in Iceland, probably, again, based on what I've seen in the last few days, you have, let's say, a process that you basically share your social security number with everyone. Okay, like everything that is related to you have some kind of social security number in it. Yesterday, I've been in a restaurant. When I signed the check, they asked me for my social security number. Why? So again, if I monitor only one, it will create a lot of incidents. So it might be that I now monitor 10 or 100. But what happens if my employee knows about it or an hacker knows about it, and then start to drip those social security number one after one or five after five? we created this drip DLP, actually allowing us or allowing you to monitor user behavior over time. So if this employee send 100 social security number in 1 hour, it might be that he's malicious, or it might be that this is a wrong business process that you want to correct. And without doing that, you will not be able to know about it. We, again, as I said, we create 1,200 predefined templates. You can also create your own, and you can combine between them. So the pyramid that I show you, each aspect of that pyramid can be combined with something else. And you can create any combination using an and, or even not. And then create your own policy, and by that increase the accuracy. We also created something really important, again, to reduce false positive. Look only on unique matches. So if I have, let's say I'm looking for a specific keyword, and I said, well, if this keyword appears, let's say it's a project name, and if this project name appears more than 5 times in a document, I want to know about it. Or let's say I have a dictionary of projects. Okay, so what happens if indeed the same keyword appears more than 5 times? This might be false positive. So you can actually say, well, if you see only unique matches, only few keywords from that dictionary, then alert. We can also look on specific places in the document over email. So look on specific headers, look on the attachments, look in the body, etc. We also allow you to do this. Okay, so basically enable you to control and reduce your risk, but still support the business and prevent data leakages. So if someone sent up to 5, for example, then just audit. I don't want to affect the business. If someone sent more than 10, up to 100, I want to alert someone and even ask him to take a decision. So for example, for email, we can quarantine, and we can even allow the employee to release the message. And if you see more than 10,000, I know it says 100, but if you see more than 10,000, then you want to block, because you don't want the next data leakage in the news. Then you can even define based on specific source, specific destinations, based on the channel. So if it goes over email, then allow it. If it goes over FTP, then block it. If it goes to USB device, then encrypt it, etc., etc. We provide you a lot of reports, where the information is going, who is sending the data, who is receiving the data, what kind of data, etc., etc. This is all part of the product. Last thing, basically, it's around web. And we see a lot of incidents around web. And when you see something like that, to take a decision or to understand what is the risk is very difficult. How about this? If you see basically an incident that gives you the information about the source, give you information about where the information went, including, by the way, also the geolocation. So if I see this is webmail, or this is social networking, and it went, by the way, over to Russia or to China, this is very important, and I might want to block it. So this is actually a report from a real proof of concept that we did. It's more than 1,800 incidents over the web in 30 days. You can see over here, again, since I have a very limited time, you can see webmail, social networking, web chat, and very important over here, 2 incidents, and it's too many incidents, actually, of sensitive data that went to phishing sites. Okay, and this is the visibility that we can give you. Last slide basically talks about how data leakage happens. So you can see employees are making mistakes, employees are ignorant about some security policies. It might be that the employee is not aware of a security policy. This is actually the other subject that were discussed today, hackers, Trojan horses, etc., that's trying to steal your data. So the employee is not aware of that in many cases, but again, the malicious hacker trying to do that. Bad business processes, we see it a lot. Employees doing something because someone did it before them, and it became a business process, and of course there is always the malicious employee that is trying to leak data. How do we deal with it? So we can educate the employee, we can send notification, we can allow him to do self-release. We have the predefined templates that makes your life easier. On the malicious side, we integrate with our web security product, which have capability to look also on incoming email, outgoing traffic, doing an SSL decryption, and therefore we can deal actually with APTs. Okay. We also added bespoke encryption support. So, for example, if an hacker is trying to access your data and trying to leak it out, usually will try some kind of generic encryption. We now have an algorithm in the system that actually detect those kinds of encryptions. Again, with the bad business processes, we get visibility to what's going on. We can count only unique matches to reduce the false positive. We can allow you to have different thresholds, and we provide a drip DLP. And the last thing is, again, with a malicious employee, again, drip DLP come into the game. Application control, we can actually control what the user can do based on application. So if he's using, for example, Skype or Dropbox, he cannot attach documents or sensitive documents. We also add in an OCR capabilities, so optical character recognition, the ability to recognize text inside images, again, to deal with malicious employees that are trying to leak data by taking basically a snapshots. That's it. Questions?